Alright YouTube, Michiana Shooting News here again. Got another product review for you. Now this product review, what I want to let you know up front, is going to be more of a technical product review. We won't be shooting this gun in this video. The reason why we do a technical review is because there are other good shooting videos on YouTube of this rifle. But there's not a good technical video in my opinion. So we're going to talk about the features of it, and we're going to take a look at how it's built internally. This rifle is the PWS Summit T3 toggle action rifle. What that means is, on this rifle, this is something that's referred to as a toggle action or a biathlon straight pull type action. The action works by simply cycling it with two fingers of the thumb each time you fire it, instead of turning a bolt 60 degrees. The reason we wanted to review this rifle is because, as this is my own personal rifle, as I was trying to research this and consider buying it, because it was rather expensive, I was in search of a lot of information I couldn't find. So I want to talk about the things that are not easy to obtain, things you maybe can't find on the website, and we'll go over a disassembly, we'll look at the inside. Now, as many of you can see from looking at this rifle looks a lot like a Ruger 1022. That's because in its form it is a lot like a Ruger 1022. However, the operating system of it is not close in design. It's much higher quality. The quality of the workmanship of the rifle itself is about 10 times as good as a Ruger 1022. Everything about this rifle is manufactured by the PWS company. Everything in here is their design, their specification, and it's just a better overall quality. So let's talk about what the rifle is made out of and what it's available in. When you buy this rifle from PWS, the form I have it in here, this stock is called the Raptor. This is the more skeletonized wood stock they offer. They offer other wood stocks. One is the T-Rex, and then they offer it with a standard Hogue Ruger 1022 option. I elected to go with this one because of the extremely light weight of the package, and it makes for a good offhand gun. You notice they call this this is the gray-black laminate type wood. This is a PWS design stock. It looks similar to many other things out there. The gun is an aluminum receiver, just like most 1022s. You get a laminate wood stock. This thing, as you'll notice, has a very high rail to it. That's a 20 MOA rail for mounting your optics. The one thing about this gun that I liked and attracted me to it, because I wanted lightweight, was the carbon fiber barrel. Now this is a stainless steel, and I'm sorry, probably not stainless steel, I believe, but on this rifle, what happens is, like most high-end match barrels that are lightweight, you have a barrel on the inside, carbon fiber sleeve on the outside, which makes it extremely light. And on this gun, you'll notice that, as most of them come from PWS, the end of the muzzle on the carbon fiber models come threaded 1/2x28 for your muzzle brakes, for your suppressors like we have here, which is the way I use the rifle, with a suppressor. And so you get your thread protector, threads, you're good to go. Now, something about this rifle that you can see in the specifications, you may or may not be able to see here, it's not real critical, but this is a tensioned barrel. What that means is the ends of this barrel here and on this ring here are tightened against the barrel sleeve, which gives it tension, makes it less flexible. The rifle comes in somewhere about 6 pounds with finished weight of the rifle. When you put a scope on it, depending on the scope, bipod, accessories, whatever you add, makes the rifle a little heavier. The best thing about this gun is the fact that everything it comes with is match grade. It has match grade trigger, the action is super smooth. Of course, the barrel is totally free floated. With this design, basically you don't have anything touching the barrel. This will take any kind of a barrel, but it is free floated under here. When I purchased this rifle, the price was $799.95. I purchased this rifle directly from PWS. I called them up. I had lots of questions. I spoke to a gentleman there by the name of Stacy. He answered all my questions. He helped me out. And when I was done with the conversation, they took care of me and they shipped this rifle to me at the cost on the website, no shipping charge. Around on the internet, when I looked for this rifle, when I considered buying it, they ranged from $800 to $1,200, plus shipping, plus dealer transfer. So in my experience, I had the best luck dealing directly with PWS right over the phone. So now that you've seen this, we've talked a little bit about how it's built. I want to talk about the stock first of all. Since I have small hands, one thing I was concerned about, in these thumb hole type stocks, most do not fit me well. I just can't reach around them. So I was nervous when I purchased this stock as to whether it would fit me or not. So let's cover that. Yes, it does fit me, and here's the reason why. On this stock, if you'll look, there's a palm swell right here, and there's also a finger groove right here, which we probably can't get in the camera too well on this side, but what happens is it allows the fit of the gun, so even if you have smaller hands, it even fits me well, and I have no problem reaching to the trigger. So that was a big relief. The stock is much lighter weight than I expected. The drawback to this stock, if you're a left-handed shooter, this is not a left-hand friendly stock. It's got a large rollover cheek piece, as you can see, which pretty much leaves you to a right-handed shooter. That's about my only comments on the stock. Now on the action, this is the heart of the gun. This is the best part of it. You can work this action with one finger and cycle it. And it's just about that smooth even when you have ammunition in the gun. It makes it much faster, makes it much easier to use, and if you're looking at building a Ruger 1022 or buying one for more accuracy purposes than speed purposes, wanting semi-auto, this is a very serious platform to consider because it works well. Now about the barrel, the basic thing on that is this barrel's 16.1 inches overall. It is the heavy 920 barrel diameter. It is threaded half by 28. A lot of the people I see on other videos on YouTube using these run a suppressor on them. See them used for hunting, for target shooting, or just general plinking. The rifle works excellent. Other features that are like the 1022, why this rifle will be attractive to a lot of people. The gun will use your Ruger 1022 type mags, so the BX25 magazines, your other Shooter's Ridge or whatever other type of magazines you prefer to use, the Butler Creeks and some of the newer ones. You can also, of course, use your 10-round Ruger magazine. And we'll set that aside. Now on this gun, we'll focus here on the bottom of it and talk about the trigger. On this one, you have an extended magazine release. This is a PWS magazine release. This trigger group is a PWS design. The trigger group is nothing internally like a Ruger. It looks like it. There again, it's not built like it. The trigger group is polymer. The release is polymer. Your same basic 1022 type safety on and off. So you can change out and put on your favorite triggers. If you want to change the trigger, you can put on your other types of magazine releases you like. And if you want to customize one or if you want to build one up, you can. They offer these with an action. You can buy the action. You can buy it barreled. You can buy the action by itself and build up your own. For the cost, I didn't see any reason to do that because I got, for what it costs to build a whole rifle with the transfer, with the parts, I was happy to go this route about it. One thing I'll recommend to people, because of the extra high scope rail on this gun, this stock, or the one called the T-Rex, has a large high cheek piece, which will get you up to the scope. I don't know, because I haven't shot one, that if the straight Hogue stock is good for your face height to the scope. On this scope, I used low 1-inch worn rings, and it lines up perfect. With these stocks, with the high cheek pieces, I don't see any reason why most people couldn't use higher rings and go possibly out to a 50mm objective. with the shooting of the rifle, we'll talk about what I experienced. My experience generally overall was the rifle shoots better with match quality ammunition. I shot maybe 200 rounds through it, and it seems like to me the ammunition I had the best success with was the Ely Target. The SK Subsonic was a real winner, and this SK Standard Plus, or even the Ely Subsonic. At 50 yards, most all of this ammunition printed groups that were a ½ inch or less. Some of them bulk ammunition, like Federal bulk, the Remington stuff, printed groups an inch or bigger. This rifle is a cut with a match chamber to match tolerances, so you'll probably find that in a lot of cases match ammo is just going to shoot better out of it. One thing to notice, if you are a suppressor owner, if you're getting this to be a suppressor shooter, in my experience, in my part of the country with our conditions here, I know it varies around the United States, the CCI standard velocity ammunition in this rifle will break the sound barrier lightly. It will crack. Whereas the designated subsonic ammo does not. So be warned, depending on your application, tolerances in your gun, and what you expect out of it, this stuff may not stay subsonic, which is a shame because this is the standard ammo that most suppressor owners use and have, and they judge all their guns by. So there's a warning for you about that. So I'm going to stop here. We're going to take this rifle apart, and we're going to talk a little more about the trigger, and I'm going to show you what the thing looks like to take it apart and show you how similar it is to a Ruger in serviceability, but how it's also very different in the quality of features. Alright, we're back here. We got the rifle halfway taken apart, a little more than halfway, but I want to illustrate to you what the rifle is built like on the inside, so I didn't take it all the way down. Most of you that are familiar with a Ruger 1022 know how to disassemble one, have seen videos on it, so there's no need to go through the technical parts of that. But I want you to see what it looks like when it is taken apart. First thing I want to talk about is the stock. Now, of course, the stock is really lightweight. Now, for some of you, this may or may not be a concern, how you feel. This stock does not have any pillar bedding, or it is not glass bedded from the factory, but it is well made and well inletted. There's no tight spots, loose spots, nothing like that. So if glass bedding or pillar bedding is a concern for you, that's something you'll have to take care of yourself or hire out to a gunsmith. But there again, that depends on your application if it would be a problem for you. So I didn't see that as a big concern. Just want to let you know that it's there. So we'll leave the stock alone at that. Now to the gun itself. You can see we have the barrel action part here. We have the trigger group right here. One thing that I did forget to mention, or I should mention about this trigger group, with this PWS magazine release right here, because it is wider than the trigger, it is a bit tricky to take the gun apart because you have to work the trigger out of the stock. Because when it sits in here, this thing will get snagged in this area taking it apart. So you want to be mindful when you get one of these. It takes a little more care to take it down for cleaning as not to catch these ears and break your stock or break this off because it is polymer. Talk about the trigger while I got it in my hand. This trigger looks like a Ruger trigger. It is not. For those, if you look at it real close, if you look from the top, most of you notice that on the Rugers there's an ejector here. A usual 1022 trigger, this ejector is something that's pinned in and moves. This ejector is pinned in, fixed in place. It will not move. It has to be physically driven out by a pin. It's rigid in the trigger group. This trigger also uses, it's an adjustable mechanical setup inside. It uses a true adjustable match trigger, almost something similar to an AR-15. On the inside of it, you can see there are two surfaces that engage right here. The trigger is very simple. It's a hammer in a trigger that acts as the sear. It's not the three pieces like in a standard 1022. The trigger itself is adjustable. It is adjustable by the user. The best part about it is, with the trigger being adjustable on this, there's only one trigger adjustment screw that you have to worry about. That trigger adjustment screw is visible right here inside of the triggers. Probably may not be that good to see, but you can see it on the drawings, or you can see it in the rifle if you purchase one. I adjusted this trigger down to about 2 pounds. With this particular setup, with the springs that's in it, the way it's worn in right now, anything under 2 pounds seemed to be a little unsafe, so I didn't go any lower than 2 pounds. The trigger is crisp, clean, has no over travel. It is absolutely stunning to have a trigger this nice on a platform like this right out of the box. So I cannot say enough good things about the trigger and the way they designed this. It is worth every penny you pay for it. Now to the barreled action. On this barreled action, like you saw before, the trigger sits in it just like any other 1022. And to take it apart, you've got the 2 trigger pins, or the trigger housing pins that go right here. And on this model, most everybody knows you have a bolt buffer that the 1022s use from the factory. They have a steel pin. This bolt buffer on this gun is simply used to keep the action from falling apart, falling out of the gun, because in this condition, the action, if this bolt buffer was not here, can be ran over and it can fall out the bottom, which goes to how you field service this gun. Take it apart. You'll push just the red buffer out. This is the one they come from PWS. So you get one right in the gun. It's the whatever their designation for a red buffer is. They'll turn the action upside down, draw the toggle to the rear, all the way back. And on this one, you can kind of hang on to it and flip it upside down, and the bolt will fall right out. And there's your bolt. And there's the action. The action can be swung out, and you can see where the toggle links together on this. There's no need to remove, at least in my opinion, this toggle arm. It's clear the receiver. You can get in here and do all your cleaning. Everything's out of the way. So, because it's actually screwed in the top of the receiver, which is something else to point out. Inside, down in here, this is steel. This is the rail that the action of the toggle rides on. It does not ride against aluminum. It is a steel bolt riding against a steel guide in here, which gives it a precision lockup. It's not going to wear the aluminum out prematurely or give you any premature wear issues in a toggle, on the bolt, or in the handle. So that's the very best part about it. That actually is why the receiver has the extra height, because they have to fit the rail system in here for the thing to ride on. So that's what it looks like when you take it apart. That's your service field strip. Now we're going to talk about the bolt. In some ways this looks very much like a Ruger 1022 bolt. If you look from the top, it does not. It's machined very differently. The front surface of the bolt is machined very differently. You can see all the finishes on this bolt are well machined, cleaned, polished finishes. There's no mill marks, there's no drag marks, not like you get out of a regular 1022, which they're usually pretty rough right out of the box. The gun has a dual extractor system on it. It has a almost fixed type claw extractor, and this is the extractor that moves. So when this feeds a cartridge into from out the magazine into the barrel, this applies tension. This is the one that moves out of the way. This one's under tension and will move, but it's very difficult. This is the one that holds the rim mostly. What you're seeing on top of the bolt is where the toggle hooks in, and these are the 2 guides that ride in the rail. The best part about this, if you're a serious rimfire shooter and you know the secret to this, is the firing pin. The amount of firing pin and the contact it has to the rim of the cartridge is a huge factor. This is their design firing pin. It's proprietary to this bolt and this gun. It's pinned in from the back on this, whereas the Rugers are pinned in the center. This one is an extremely heavy-duty firing pin with an extremely flat surface on it. And let's see if we can zoom the camera in here, and I want to show how different this firing pin looks at the surface versus what you see normally. So this is a huge heart of your 22. If you're a master, especially, consistent ignition comes from consistent primer strikes on a 22 because it is a rim fire. The firing pin, of course, is serviceable. You can drive this roll pin out, take it out, As you can see, it's a heavy-duty solid piece of steel. Everything in this bolt is steel except, well, I believe the extractors on this are steel. They're spring-loaded, and they're all serviceable. Everything about the gun is made quality from the ground up. It's not just somebody's 1022 design they screwed together and so make it look like a 1022 and work like one. It is a really well engineered product. It's not cheap. It's not cheaply made. It's good quality. On this design, a couple of the things to point out about features are this barrel is a match barrel. And something I was reading on here is under this barrel are shims inside the guide. And when you buy your PWS rifle, you'll get one of these cards with it that give you a basic description of how the action looks. I didn't see this on their website, but you can actually find this on their Facebook page. And it gives you a breakdown. But they engineered this rifle so far ahead that most of you that know from installing barrels in Ruger 1022s, fit and tension is very important. There's actually shims between the barrel and the receiver that allow you to adjust how much clearance there is to adjust head space. That's really important, especially if you're trying to tune the gun for match ammo or you're trying to get the gun to shoot it better. That's something you can move around. I would leave that to someone very experienced. I'd leave it to a gunsmith before I went changing them around a lot to see what would happen. But there again, they engineered that option in there for you, and I think that's a really top quality deal. So this is the nuts and bolts of the gun. This is what it looks like. The gun was expensive. I had to sell 2 of my personal rifles to get this gun. This is not something that we got for promotion. It's mine, and I wanted one because I wanted a straight pull bolt action gun for shooting with a suppressor for maximum suppression. I looked at other models, looked at a Browning T-bolt, and the Browning T-bolts are $700 brand new. I got this for $799.95 thanks to the good guys at PWS, and I'm actually way happier with this. The action's way smoother. So I want to talk about a couple things on this information sheet when you get it. Basically, you have a toggle biathlon style bolt, 20 MOA Picatinny rail. According to this sheet, it says the trigger is adjustable from 1 to 1.8 pounds. And that's adjustable by the single screw. Dual extractors, shims for the head spacing, and this is a chromoly barrel with a 1 in 16 twist. That's what I forgot to mention earlier. So, if you have any more questions, if you're curious about this rifle, you can contact us here. Go to the PWS webpage, take a look at what they have to offer there. They sell complete rifles, they sell actions and barrels, parts, the magazine releases, they sell these trigger groups, they sell it all. I highly recommend one if you're a serious 22 shooter.